Update to the India story. Modi didn't kill a guy in Canada. Holy smoke. We were told that Modi killed a guy. We were told that, oh yeah, Modi was sitting in his room and they were loudly talking about killing a guy in Canada. And from the room that Modi was in, those guys heard, yeah, go ahead, guys. That's like kind of the implication that we heard, right? Like Modi was in on it, read in, he heard about it. Things were all the way up to his level. That's what we were told. And apparently now Trudeau's walking that back. So we've got to talk about that. Trump's AG pick, it removes himself from consideration. So we've got to look at that. Randy has stepped down, all 56 of them, according to Pierre Poilievre, so that's funny. Australia has its own online harms bill, and they're trying to ram it through, and there's a party that's saying we're gonna kill this bill today, so I'll show you that. Canadian forces are recruiting, and they'll take anybody at all. Pre-existing condition, that's okay, come on in. Scared of guns? Cool, come on in, it's no problem at all. Scared of conflict? Yeah, we've got a place for you in the Canadian military. You're peeling potatoes, but it's a place for you, right? Which is probably not a good idea, right? And again, we're going to start with the obvious attempt to buy your vote by removing the GST for 2 months. So, and the NDP are going to support this and the inflationary $250 giveaway to everyone and anyone in Canada who makes under $150,000. So if you've got a family where both parents make less than $150,000 a year, are those people getting the rebates? Follow-up question, what about small business owners? If their small business makes, $90,000 a year, are they getting any rebates? I'm guessing not, right? I'm guessing that's not happening, right? So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. And really, there's 77 tabs today, so it's a big show because I missed yesterday. So apologies, but it just couldn't be helped. And so here we go. Lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, conservative veteran says, I wonder how many Canadians will vote yet again for Trudeau after this obvious attempt to purchase your vote. How much is a liberal vote worth these days? And this is the Epoch Times saying Trudeau announces a 2-month GST holiday and a $250 check for most Canadians. So that's expensive and inflationary. CBC News says the Liberal government and the NDP have agreed to introduce a 2-month GST vacation on certain items before the holiday season, Radio Canada has learned. Sources said Ottawa will announce the temporary GST relief Thursday. They're in grocery stores, but at grocery stores, most things are tax exempt anyway, already, because they're in a grocery store and the grocery stores have a lot of tax exempt items. Now they've been sneaking tax onto items, and shrinkflation has created situations where what used to be a family item now qualifies as a snack. When it was a family item, no tax. Now that it's snack size, tax, right? So, there you go. We'll take the tax off that box of cookies that didn't used to have tax on it. You're welcome, they say. Chrystia Freeland is celebrating. She says, we're giving all Canadians a tax break starting December 14th. If they can get it passed through the House of Commons. Here's what will cost less. Restaurant and takeout meals, prepared foods and snacks, and things that were formerly not taxed because they were family size that became snacks. Toys, video game consoles, alcohol up to 7% ABV, children's clothes and shoes. Why are children's clothes and shoes taxed? Why is energy taxed? Why is heating taxed in a place? It's not like in a place where you have regular 25-degree temperatures and you're like, I really like it at 45 degrees. There, I'd be fine with taxing heating. But in Canada, I like to not freeze to death. So, I responsibly put my thermostat at whatever degrees I put it. And that shouldn't be taxed, I don't think. But the politicians are tax crazy in Canada. And the populace is very, very passive. We don't like conflict, you see? We'll avoid conflict at all costs. In fact, here's my money. I don't want to have any conflict, please. We should remove all politicians who rely on taxes and all the taxes too, right? We could do it different. We could, and it would be just as successful. We'd be able to afford roads and police stations and fire stations and everything. You know what we wouldn't be able to afford? Send money to Ukraine. We wouldn't be able to afford that. We wouldn't be able to fund foreign wars. We wouldn't be able to fund that. But with the tariff system and stuff, we'd be able to fund our own self-sufficiency. Sufficiency? Yeah. We'd be self-sufficient. Ha. Okay. What else would lose the taxes? Car seats and diapers. Why are car seats and diapers? Hey, new parent, this is necessary for the safety of your child. Great. We're going to mandate it. And tax it. Right? Where's our share, says the government. We want you to buy this and we want you to give us money for it too. Which is crazy. Christmas trees. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, indeed. The plastic ones or the real ones? So Christia Freeland's super happy. I didn't know we hired hobbits. I didn't know Arif Varini is so small. I didn't know that he was tiny. Like, what is he, half the size of me? Honestly, look at him. Look at him. He's little. So here he is. And the criticism on this, and Rex says, how many media people do we pay for? Does every Liberal have a film crew devoted to them? Arif Varini says, starting December 14th, essentials like books, meals, kids' clothing, and the little things in between will be GST free. It's one more way we're making life more affordable and helping you enjoy the holidays with less financial stress. Here's just a little bit of this. The only reason I'm showing this is because I can't believe how little he looks.
Today
he looks
is
tiny.
An amazing day. I'm in the House of Commons. We're about to go into the chamber to talk about affordability and the tax break we're giving.
Like, I think those are regular sized doors. He's tiny. Okay, moving on. I don't care what he's saying. Graham says, the government thinks you're a child. Like the size of Mr. Varini, right? They really have no idea how patronizing this is, do they? Stephen Gilbo says, big news. We're giving a tax break to Canadians this holiday season. This is going to be cringe. I haven't actually watched this because I thought it's going to be cringe, and I want to experience the cringe at the same time as everybody else. Here's Stephen Gelbo's cringy, we've taken the tax off everything and sent out inflationary checks of $250 because our government is tanking so hard video. 11 seconds. It says Canadians are getting a tax break to start December 14th. It's cringy. It's not even worth the time. Moving on. I'm embarrassed that this is our government. Honestly. Crushing embarrassment. CBC News is reporting the Liberal government and the NDP have agreed to introduce the 2-month GST tax vacation. And Daniel says, it's scary to imagine what kind of retail data they're seeing that would prompt a decision like this. Yeah. Isn't it concerning? Ooh, I wonder what their internal documents say. Like, I wonder what their internal polling says. I wonder what all of their... If they're handing out, like $150,000 used to be a lot of money for a family, and now they're saying anybody who makes $150,000 or less is getting this $250 rebate. You're welcome for giving us our money back, right? Like, all of that is your money. They took it, and then they looked at some numbers and went, ruh-roh, and then they sent it back to you because they're worried that you definitely will throw them out of office next time. Dan Kelly says, keep in mind, 6 weeks after the proposed 5% GST holiday expires, the federal carbon tax will increase by 19%. And the carbon tax finds its way into the permanent prices of every consumer item, not just the narrow list of products that are to be temporarily exempt from sales taxes. Dan Kelly makes a good point, right? This and immediately when Jagmeet Singh came back and said, "Oh, we definitely support this. Everything's really good and this is a good idea," and all the rest, he supports and props up a carbon tax that is inflationary and increases the price of all of the goods across Canada. Period. And he says, "Oh yeah, we have to do this to help people out." Hypocrisy, contradiction. What? Like, thy name is Jagmeet? Honestly. Here's Maxime Bernier, and he's responding to Justin Trudeau's announcement of all of this. Canadians are getting a tax break starting December 14th, blah, blah, blah. And Bernier says, what a ridiculous gimmick, bribing Canadians temporarily with borrowed money, when the real solution is to stop growing the bureaucracy, cut wasteful spending, stop sending billions to Ukraine, eliminate subsidies to businesses and activist groups, stop creating new unsustainable and unconstitutional social programs, eliminate the deficit, and then cut taxes for real. None of which he will do, of course. Right? Like, that's a laundry list of things that would be excellent to implement, right? Like, when can we get started, please? It's like changing internet providers, and then you realize you have to have the old one for another month, and you're like, oh man, I hate those guys. It is. The struggle is real. Perrin says, Canadian families are hurting. To help, Ottawa could either, 1, cut government waste, improve productivity, and grow the economy, or 2, add a few $billion more to the debt with short-term giveaways. With an election coming, guess which option they chose? Yep, they're not in it for you. They're in it for them. They saw the poll numbers and they were like, "Oh, we have to buy people off. That's what we need to do." Kirk says $150,000 used to be able to afford you a good life in Canada and a house, but things are getting so bad that it now qualifies you for a handout from the government. Next April, everyone who made under $150,000 will get a $250 check from the government. In April, the federal carbon tax is also going up by 19%. The Liberal government is printing more money to tax you more and devalue our currency instead of just cutting taxes. Idiots are running the country. Idiots is being too nice. They were idiots years ago. Perhaps we're the idiots for allowing this crap to continue. Dan Kelly says an email from a IB small business member who sells children's products. Consumers will hold off purchases between now and December 14th. They will return purchases and cancel orders in order to repurchase and save the GST. This will negatively affect sales. Small businesses are currently struggling with the Canada Post strike. This will add to our challenges and could push some businesses too far. So bankrupt some businesses. Danielle Smith says, here's a better idea, Justin Trudeau. Just cut the carbon tax permanently. This short GST holiday will do little to help struggling Canadians. In fact, it's likely to hurt businesses with added red tape and no boost in sales. So correct. Justin Trudeau is being responded to again. And he says Canadians are getting a tax break, blah. And Frozen Bell says most groceries and children's clothes and other essentials are already tax-free, you ignoramus. This does nothing to help the average Canadian who's already buying essential groceries, which have been tax-exempt for years. No one is buying this lie. So people are frustrated and pushing back on all of this. Jagmeet Singh says tomorrow Justin Trudeau will cave to an NDP demand. He's celebrating a win. Oof, not reading the room, Jagmeet. A winter GST holiday. What he won't do is make it permanent. An NDP government will. Ha, right, an NDP government. Did you see what Keir Starmer's doing? Right? Yeah, that it'll be worse here if the NDP get in. Big win for working people, but the fight isn't over. Never back down, he says. GM Forbes says, this requires legislation, and that is true. Justin Trudeau confirms it himself, saying, well, the NDP better get on side good and quick. The NDP then said, we're going to support passage of this and only this, nothing else. So even so, I don't even think they should really support this because it would leave the Liberals floundering and showing that they can't get anything done in their government. So anyway, GM Forbes says it requires legislation, which can't be passed because no new business can proceed until the Liberals hand over the unredacted documents about their green slush fund to the RCMP. Trudeau will blame the CPC, all parties, all the time with Trudeau, or all politics all the time with Trudeau. And Scott Moe got a letter from the NDP. He says, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has written to Canadian premiers telling us that what we should do to make life more affordable while ignoring his own responsibility for driving up the cost of everything by supporting the Trudeau carbon tax. The Saskatchewan Party recently won the provincial election, running a comprehensive plan to make life more affordable for students, seniors, homeowners, families, and everyone. Here's my response to Mr. Singh. So he says, thanks for your letter regarding making life more affordable for Canadians. Saskatchewan recently had a provincial election in which affordability was a major issue. Our party proposed a significant number of measures to make life more affordable for students, seniors, homeowners, families, and everyone. Your party proposed a temporary gas tax holiday and removal of the provincial sales tax on a limited number of items similar to the list that you're proposing. As you know, the Saskatchewan Party was re-elected, so we plan to fulfill our affordability commitments during the first sitting of our new Legislative Assembly, which begins next week. And then he says, I note that you are asking provincial governments to remove the PST on home heating, which is a necessity in Canada, particularly during winter months. Saskatchewan's crown-owned gas provider, Sask Energy, does not charge for PST on residential natural gas. However, the Trudeau government, which you support, required Sask Energy to charge both the carbon tax and the GST on residential Sask Energy bills. Our government is now providing a carbon tax exemption on home heating over the objections of the Trudeau government, which you support. If you are serious about making life more affordable for Saskatchewan people and all Canadians, you should insist that the Trudeau government remove the carbon tax on home heating for all Canadians. Better yet, you should insist that they eliminate the carbon tax completely on everything for everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to let you know the actions our government is taking to make life more affordable for Saskatchewan people. So there you go. A good letter, good response, and holding Jagmeet Singh responsible for his idiocy. And here's the Premier of Newfoundland, and he takes a different tack from after getting the letter from Jagmeet Singh. He says, in addition to the more than $700 million in affordability measures and electricity rate mitigation, we are taking more steps to support Newfoundland and Labradorians by removing the HST on selected goods for 2 months. More information here. So he's doing what Jagmeet Singh asked him to do. Interesting, right? Notable if you're paying attention, right? Here is gov.exe. He says, Trudeau just admitted the GST rebate is a ploy to unfreeze Parliament. These Liberals are so desperate to get Bill C-63 passed, they'll do anything. How is this not extortion. So here's 2 minutes of Trudeau. Here we go.
I am certainly hopeful that the NDP will see that a frozen parliament doesn't deliver for Canadians. Like I said, the Conservatives have been blocking all the affordability measures that we've been putting forward, and to see the NDP tacitly agreeing with them has been a little confusing for a lot of progressives across the country. So with this measure that has to get through Parliament and get through Parliament quickly so people can start feeling that relief at that tax break as soon as mid-December comes around, the NDP is going to have to step up and get beyond the freeze that we're seeing in Parliament. I am certainly hopeful that the NDP...
So he's saying we're going to have to make those NDP see sense and reason. And here's 2 minutes of Jagmeet Singh talking about this isn't how we do it, but we support them. Here's Jagmeet Singh.
Right.
Too fast, I feel like it's going to be fast. No,
I have an opening comment, and then we're going to support people getting a break. Support your question. The NDP is a party of the working class. I'm sick and tired, though, of billionaires and CEOs that continue to get tax breaks off the back of workers. So we fought for a tax break for the working class, and we're delivering.
$250. You support the 200. You're talking about the GST, but also now you do support $250 going out, as everyone has mentioned, for people who have salaries up to $150,000.
Listen, we said that this is a measure that we fought for to remove the GST off of.
No, I'm asking about the checks. Sorry, I'm asking about the checks specifically.
We fought to remove the GST off of daily essentials, and the Liberals have caved to that. They've also proposed an additional measure to get money out to people. We support that. We're not going to oppose people getting some help. It's not the way we would have done it, but we're not going to oppose people getting some help.
You ripped up your supply and confidence agreement. So how is this any different now, what you're doing with the Liberals?
We fought for something. We said it should happen. We said that people should get a break. They should get the GST removed off of their essentials. The Liberals caved to that demand and are now doing it. There was no negotiation. There was no discussions. We put it out in the public. We said people need this help. And then the Liberals caved to that and are announcing what we said people need. People need a break. So for folks out there that are feeling squeezed, we see you and we heard you. We want to give you some relief.
Are you concerned that these checks could be inflationary, given that they're going out to such a wide group of Canadians, with $150,000 salary being the cap? Are you concerned that this checks going out could be inflationary?
Well, again, this is not the way that we would have approached it. We said we wanted the GST removed off of daily essentials and off of bills. That's what we proposed. The Liberals, there was no negotiation. They came forward and said they caved to our demand. And
GST, but not the carbon tax?
they're going to do something that's going to give people a break. Obviously, we're going to support people getting a break.
If they're willing to take the GST off bills, why isn't he fighting to take the carbon tax off bills? Like, it doesn't make any sense. The GST is minor and the carbon tax is pretty major. The GST is pretty old, 40 years old, right? It was in the 80s that they brought it in, wasn't it? To offset, to pay for something. I can't remember what it was. The first Trudeau. It was to pay for the first Trudeau. And they brought the GST in, temporary, it was supposed to be temporary. And as everything is temporary, right? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah, right. And so they brought this in, and now, carbon tax, we'll take off the GST for a couple of months because you guys are feeling squeezed and we heard you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. People don't want the carbon tax. People don't want the GST. We shouldn't have any of this crap. We should have a system that works for the citizens of this country, not for Ukrainians who want to wage war, not for foreigners who want to come here on Canadian dollars, taxpayer dime. No. Right? Like, we could fix this if we had people who weren't working for the WEF and or not Canadians in our House of Commons. Marky Walsh says the NDP says it will vote with the Liberals to end the document standoff in the House of Commons. Instead, they will only agree to join the filibuster for one day to pass the GST relief and the $250 checks. So it's not a complete removal, but that was what Trudeau was hoping for. He was hoping that the NDP would bring back the House of Commons, pass this, and then it would be business as usual. And nope, not happening, which is interesting, right? Jagmeet Singh is, it's interesting. We'll see how this all plays out. Mark, is he just running up the clock? Maybe. Maybe. Mark Levesque says this is another issue with today's announcement. From what I understand, in those provinces where the provincial sales tax is harmonized, the whole HST will be removed. That's Ontario, New Brunswick. Where those in which it is not, Quebec and BC, it's only the 5% GST. What a mess. So yeah, it's a mess. It is a mess. So that's happening. We'll see how that all plays out over the next coming weeks. Kevin Vung is talking about China, and he's saying it's 8 minutes, like it's 8 minutes long, but he's holding Trudeau accountable and asking questions about why is Justin Trudeau aiding and abetting the at least 11 MPs and maybe more, and he's wittingly aware that there are cabinet ministers, Mary Ng and others, who are sitting around the table who have benefited from Chinese influence, Chinese money, and so on, and how can he do this and be above the law? And it's a good question, and there doesn't seem to be a good answer, really. So it's 8 minutes. I don't have time because we have 77 tabs, so I'm not going to get into this one too much. But you should check it out. Link is in the description, and it's wild and crazy what's going on. Speaking of wild and crazy, the India story is wild and crazy. The Privy Council made an announcement statement from the Deputy Clerk of the Privy Council and the National Security and Intelligence Advisor to the Prime Minister, Drouin. He made the announcement that, here it is, on October 14th, because of a significant and ongoing threat to public safety, the RCMP and officials took the extraordinary step of making public accusations of serious criminal activity in Canada perpetrated by agents of the Government of India. The Government of Canada has not stated, nor is it aware of evidence linking Prime Minister Modi, Minister Jaishankar, or NSA Doval to the serious criminal activity in Canada. Any suggestion to the contrary is both speculative and inaccurate. So they're saying Modi didn't kill a guy in Canada? Crazy, because I'm pretty sure we were all told that he did, right?
He has denied the
upper echelons of the Indian government and so on, right? Modi was the guy just outside the room. He knew everything that was going on, and he tacitly agreed by not stopping them. Here's Justin Trudeau.
India has denied the allegation and expelled a Canadian diplomat. What's your reaction to that, and how confident are you in our intelligence with this denial?
As I've said, India, the government of India, needs to take this matter with the utmost seriousness. We are doing that. We are not looking to provoke or escalate. We are simply laying out the facts as we understand them, and we want to work with the government of India to lay everything clear and to ensure that there is proper process.
So Trudeau's announcement created an international upset where diplomats were expelled. Here's Brittany. She's responding to the Privy Council, and she says, excuse me. So here's going back to October 29th. Like, this wasn't even that long ago. What just happened, though? Everybody was at the G20, right? So Trudeau goes to the G20, gets told, stop saying that this touches the upper echelon of the Indian government, and now he's walking it back, right? So, like, makes sense. But it seems interesting because our media lied to us. Again, Trudeau lied to us, and then the media lied because Trudeau lied. But anyway, RCMP Chief CSIS Director to testify about claims that India orchestrated crimes in Canada. And here is another one. Member of Modi's inner circle behind Canadian criminal plot, officials say. Mounties have alleged India is involved in widespread crimes in Canada, including murder and intimidation. This is not how this is done. And I talked about that then. If you suspect that Modi's inner circle, like if the RCMP suspects and CSIS suspects that Modi's inner circle is committing crimes in Canada, the Prime Minister of the country typically would take that to the other country with either official means or back channels or a phone call, something that was like, hey, like this is what we've seen. Like, what's going on here? You would engage in that kind of fact finding before you come out and make the statements that were made, because it's careless. And what it does is it sets the country on edge, right? Like, it sets India on edge with regards to dealing with Canada. They expel diplomats. They're like, what? What are you talking about, crazy pants? And so it seems like jumping the gun. It did then too. And I think that I was concerned about how it would play out. et cetera, et cetera. But here's, again, amazing Zoltan, just for a little bit more. He says, less than 1 year ago, the National Security Intelligence Advisor to the Trudeau government indirectly contradicted Trudeau's earlier October 14th claim that he was in possession of credible evidence linking Modi and India to crimes in Canada. That's quite something. And here's the link to that. So this is the link to the statement by the Privy Council, Minister Drouin. On October 14th, because of a significant ongoing threat to the public safety, RCMP officials took the extraordinary step of making public accusations of serious criminal activity in Canada perpetrated by agents of the India government. The government of Canada has not stated, nor is it aware of evidence linking Prime Minister Modi, right, all of these. So I've read that. If they don't have it, they shouldn't have come out and said they did. It's created a huge problem, right? And it was BS intelligence, says Buck. Yeah, but it should have been more carefully handled, and their inability to carefully handle it tips their cards to the fact that they're incompetent idiots, right? Like, honestly, holy cow. Here is, and I mean, like, I'm just a guy in my garage, and if you get sensitive data that points to, it's like when you get a winning lottery ticket, right? Have you ever won like $1,000 on a scratch ticket, and you're like, I have to make sure this is not a fake scratch ticket. I have to make sure this is a legitimate win and not fake, right? Like, but you get like excited, right? You don't go tell everybody that you've won. I mean, if it's a cash for life and you just bought it and you scratched 1,000, you're like, holy cow, I won, right? But like, I don't know. There's situations where I'd keep it under my hat. And if you win a lot of money, you keep it under your hat, right? This seems like one of those situations. You've won tens of millions of dollars. You better double check that ticket and not be careless with it, right? Like, you could create an international incident and you know, cost the country billions of dollars in trade and goodwill and so on and so forth. You better double check that lottery ticket, because, you know, the lottery is good news and this is bad news, but it's the same kind of importance, right? Anyway, Sarah says, moving on, let's do our grab bag of governance, which is robust. There's just a lot of stories today. So, and that's because I was gone for 2 days. So yes, anyway, you know what I mean. Sarah Fisher says, why is the Liberal Speaker Greg Fergus signaling to mute the public feed from the House of Commons after Liberal House Leader Karina Gould went off the rails and Conservatives were responding with outcry? This is the chamber of the people. They deserve to hear what's going on. So Mr. Sunshine Baby created a petition to stop Greg Fergus muting the House feed. And he kind of won. Fergus emailed him and like said he'd stop doing it, but he still does it. And here's video footage of Speaker Fergus muting the feed when it would be potentially, what the Conservatives say, would be inconvenient or against the narrative. Here we go. There you go. Magic fingers, right? And I mean, like, there it is. One finger, right? And he did like this first with both of his full hands. And then when he waved one finger, that's when the feed, and I don't know if it's just because the technician, he caught the attention of the technician. He's like, was he waving his hands at me? And then he saw the one finger and he's like, oh yeah, okay, I should cut the feed. But why are they able to cut the feed? Seems weird. Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.